Earlier today, I got done watching the 3 seasons of Record of Ragnarok, and a Netflix original anime, and I'm going to talk about it right now. So, very quick context on what this show is about. Every 1,000 years, every god that you can imagine comes together and decides whether or not humanity should live or die. And right when the gods are about to decide to not save humanity and kill them all, this one right here, Brunhilde, the oldest of the 13 Valkyries, she calls for Ragnarok, which is basically a tournament between the gods and the humans. Basically, it's a tournament where 13 gods and 13 humans fight, and whichever side gets 7 wins, they win. If the gods win, they will get to destroy humanity. If the humans win, we get to live for another 1,000 years. And I just really love the whole concept of this show and of this anime, and it's done really, really well. And it's if you're looking for a high action series, it's honestly really, really good. Now, the way this series is formatted is that each season covers 3 rounds. So, season 1 covers rounds 1, 2, and 3, which consists of round 1 being between Thor, the god of thunder, and Lubu, who claims to be the strongest man on Earth. Round 2 being Zeus, the god of lightning and king of the gods, versus Adam, the first man. And round 3 being my personal favorite of this first batch of episodes, King Poseidon, god of the seas, versus Kojiro, the greatest loser of history. Now, you might be wondering exactly how the humans have a chance at going up against the gods. Well, Brunhilde over here thought of that very, very well. The way that the humans are able to combat against the gods is every human champion, they are paired with a Valkyrie, one of Brunhilde's sisters, and they form what's called a Volunder, where basically the humans get to use the Valkyrie's magic and their power to create a weapon, a divine treasure that is able to do harm and possibly kill the gods. Each of every single god, not every single god, every single human has a different divine treasure. Lubu, he had a magical spear. Adam, he, as you can see by his arm, he had brass knuckles, and Kojiro, he had double swords. Now, along with that, now some of the humans have extra rare abilities that give them the edge over the Volunder. Along with the Volunder, for more specifically for Adam, who in this batch of episodes in this season we find out that Adam has this ability to basically counter every single opponent every single opponent he fights. So if you're a Smash fan, you will absolutely enjoy Adam's fighting style. But now into the actual matches of the 3. As I said, round 3 between Poseidon and Kojiro was that by far my favorite matchup of the season. I just loved how Kojiro was this guy who willingly lost, who throughout history was willingly losing battles, and it made him one of the greatest swordsmen in history, and was able to help him kill Poseidon, which was just really insane. Now onto the scoreboard. The scoreboard in the end was gods 2-1. Thor winning his match against Lubu, Zeus winning his match against Adam, and as I already revealed before, Kojiro winning his battle against Poseidon, killing one of the first gods I've ever been killed. And also, something else that's really interesting about this series is that during each match between the fighters, we get to learn either the human's backstory or a moment in time that made the gods so iconic. So, for example, with Thor, we learned that he was the one who saved Asgard from an attack of frost giants. Zeus, if you don't already know Zeus' story, he was the one to overthrow his father Kronos, and he became king of the gods. And Poseidon over here, he has been the only one of the Olympian gods, of the Greek gods, to kill a fellow Olympian. That being his brother Adamas, who I'm assuming is a god that was made for the show. But we'll get to Adamas later. But overall, season 1 of this show was really, really cool. You can see my ranking right here. Now we move on to season 2 of the show, which covers rounds 4-6. Starting off with round 4, we have Hercules representing the gods and Jack the Ripper representing the humans. Round 5 being between Shiva, you could say the king of the Indian gods, fighting off against a man by the name of Temimon Raiden, who is basically supposed to be like the world's greatest sumo wrestler. And then the 6th round being by far the most chaotic round by far, being between Buddha, who originally was supposed to fight for the gods, but because he is a god who doesn't like to be bossed around, to put it nicely, he decided to switch and fight for the humans. And he was going up against a god by the name of Zirofuku, who has a big grudge against Buddha, because Zirofuku, he's meant to be the god to like take away all the pain and suffering of the humans. He took all that pain and suffering and has it for himself, and he hates how Buddha was able to help people, help humans be good and be free spirited, if you want to say that. So there's definitely bad blood between these two. Later on in the season, later on in the fight at least, he becomes what's known a being by the name of Papyrus, an even more powerful version of Zirofuku, who he was created, but his creator we'll get into in a little bit. Purely because he has ties to Adamas, so to speak. In the end, this season ended with a full-on tie, with Jack winning his fight against Hercules, Shiva winning his fight against Raiden, and Buddha winning his fight against Zirofuku / Papyrus. I'm just gonna call him Papyrus from here on out. So it's tied all 3-3. Almost forgot to mention, on the screen right now is my rating of season 2. Now moving on to the third and latest season of Record of Ragnarok, season 3. We have round 7, which consisted of Hades, the king of the underworld, versus Emperor Qin Shi Huang. I think I butchered that name a little bit. Their fight was really interesting. Round 8 being between Beelzebub, who was the one who saved Adamas and basically created Papyrus, versus Nikola Tesla. Magic versus science. What can you say? And the 9th round being between Apollo, the sun god, and King Leonidas of the Spartan. Of these 3 fights, I definitely think that for these 3, my favorites definitely had to be, it's a tie between Hades and Emperor Huang, and Beelzebub and Nikola Tesla, because those fights went in so many different ways. With King Leonidas and Apollo, you could definitely tell that Apollo was going to be winning those fights. But overall, those fights were honestly pretty solid. On the screen right now, you can see what my overall ranking of this season was, and you can also see what my overall ranking of Record of Ragnarok as a whole was. And overall, this anime is really cool. And to quote Sammy J Reacts, I need season 4 more than I need air. I butchered that. I know I did. But I need season 4 right now, because right now the score is 5-4. I forgot to say, Emperor Huang beat Hades. Beelzebub beat Nikola Tesla, and as I made it clear, Apollo absolutely kicked the ass of King Leo. So now the game is 5-4. If season 4 is going to be the final season of the show, which I would not be surprised if it is, I definitely think that's going to comprise of the final 4 fights that's going to be happening, because again, it's decide to get to 7 wins, and all the gods need to do is they just need to get 2 more wins. The humans, in order to tie, they need to win 3 rounds, and in order for them to win, they need to wait. No, I did the math wrong. They need to win 3. They need to do 2 more. They need to win 2 more rounds to tie. And my mouth is all over the place. My brain is tired. But long story short, I feel like the show is going to end at season 4, and I am so excited to see how this show is going to wrap up whenever we get season 4. I hope it's before the year is done, because I feel like this is a show that needs to be done like gradually. Like it shouldn't take too long for it to finish. So I really hope we get season 4 by the end of this year. Let me know down in the comments what you thought. If you've seen Record of Ragnarok, what are your thoughts on the show? And if you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend you go see it on Netflix. It's such a banger show. And yeah, so let me know down in the comments what you think. And yeah.